all. My name is Siggi, and welcome to Siggi Squeaks, where I get to squeak about whatever I want for however long I want. I am in total control. Today's topic is failure. So, come one, come all. I'm getting on my soapbox, and you're not allowed to leave. Oh, this is so silly. You know, maybe sometimes shower thoughts should stay. Sour thoughts. Sour? Sour? Anyways, for the last 4 years, I studied at college in pursuit of a music education degree. For some personal reasons, I am no longer on that path. However, pursuing an education degree and learning how to become a good and effective teacher has forever shaped my perspective on learning, specifically surrounding failure. As somebody who has once dreaded failure and still sometimes does, I've let it hinder my ability to share my art with the world and also let it hinder me from trying new things. So maybe if you found yourself in a very similar boat, specifically with art, this video is for you. Today, I'd like to explore the many different aspects of failure, specifically why it's unavoidable, why it sucks so much, and how you, just like I have, can reshape your perspective on failure to better serve you. And no, I'm not trying to sell you some course or something. I'll happily tell you for free. If you see me looking up to the corner, I'm looking at my teleprompter, and I have no shame. Oh my god, I can zoom in on my teleprompter more. Technology. But first, let us begin with some definitions. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines failure as failing to perform a duty or expected action, and our lovely friend, Wikipedia, uses this definition to further describe failure as the social concept of not meeting a desirable or intended objective and is usually viewed as the opposite of success. What I love about this definition is that it establishes failure as a social construct. For those of you who are not familiar with what a social construct is, the definition is any category or thing that is made real by convention or collective agreement. Wikipedia can provide some examples of what socially constructed things are, and they describe them as meanings of words, the value of paper, money, or the rules of economic or social systems. And socially constructed ideas tend to be shaped by our culture or environment growing up. Sorry for all the definitions, but it's really important that we're on the same page. Understanding failure as a social construct is particularly valuable because it allows us to understand that there are many different perspectives on failure. There's not just one stagnant idea of what failure is. When we understand something as having multiple meanings or multiple perspectives, we can use this information to become more open-minded about our own interpretations of said thing. But I can almost just hear you screaming through the screen. Why does it matter? Why is it important? Why bother at all? I'll tell you. Failure just in general fucking sucks. As we've established, failure is defined by the lack of success or inability to meet a desired expectation, which in general just feels bad to experience. I'm not telling you anything new here, but it's important that we acknowledge that failure often leads us to feel embarrassed and tie our inability to achieve success in something to our self-worth, our self-esteem, and our perception of self-acceptance. Failing to do something often comes with a lot of judgment, both from and towards ourselves, but also by those around us. When I began taking musical pedagogy classes in college, one of the things that we talked about that makes a good teacher is the environment that you create as one. We would often explore what different components of a learning environment make students feel safe and excited to learn, and this was when I really started to understand failure's purpose in learning. I will die on this hill. You cannot learn without failing. I'm sorry. In fact, I'll go even further and say some of the best learning moments that I think you would ever experience as a person are when you fail. Sure, when you do something right, especially the first time, it feels good. You get that dopamine hit. You get the yummy, yummy taste of success. But without that yummy, yummy treat, you would have no reason to push through failure in the first place. This is one of the main purposes of failure. Without it, success just wouldn't feel as good. The harder one works for something, often the more you fail in pursuit of a goal, the better it actually feels when you finally achieve it. Sometimes our minds become so fixated on the actual unpleasantness of the process that we forget how wonderful succeeding actually feels. Sometimes I'm super compelled just to keep doing what I already know that I'm good at instead of trying something new. Specifically with art, when you get really good with one art form and then you try a new one, you're like, oh no, everyone's gonna think I'm a bad artist now. Girl, no, you just tried it for the first time. You're not gonna be good. That's why we learn. Failure doesn't just make the carrot at the end of the stick taste that much better, it actually gives you live, active feedback. It's genuinely one of the best teachers that we have, and kind of nature's built in teaching mechanism. As we've established, when you fail, that shit sucks. And you remember that that shit sucks when you fail. The whole point of failure is so it doesn't feel good, so that we're motivated to not want to feel that way again. So naturally, when our brains go, oh, I failed, that feels gross, I don't want to feel this again, we hit a crossroads. On one hand, you can go, I'm gonna avoid that. I don't ever want to do that again, and that is how I'll prevent myself from feeling like shit again. On the other hand, you could totally reflect on your failure and try to understand what might have went wrong, and then, you can try something new the next time. But avoidance is just so much more fun. Well, the immediate red flag with that is that we literally can't. Sorry. I really hate to break it to you. You can't avoid failure. I will bet all the damn money in the whole wide world. But I know some of you out there are going to try and do it anyways. I know. But honestly, here is where I kind of find the beauty of failure is that, yeah, we can't avoid it. But also, it's something that we all go through. It's important to remember that when we witness failure, that you've been there too. Yes, it's embarrassing, but it's necessary. Honestly, without it, we wouldn't have anything in this room. Do you mean someone just thought of this little pill and went, yeah, I know exactly how to make this and I have no questions. It's just I thought it all right here, and what I've kind of come to in a super philosophical way, I've just understood failure as nature's way of communicating us how the world works. It has no actual way of just telling us, so we try something out, and if it doesn't work, we reflect on it and go, okay, well, maybe I'll try this next time. And then we see how that goes. Trial and error. If failure is a way of communicating and giving feedback, we must have courage to actually fail and be open-minded to what failure could actually teach us. A lot of this comes down to our mentality of things. We must work to understand that without pain and uncomfortability, comfort and content and success would never feel the way that it actually does. Cannot have one without the other. Failure, what I've learned, always has a purpose, and even though it's uncomfortable, we wouldn't be motivated to change if it wasn't. And like I've brought up, we all know the sting of failure and the joy of success. Not only does expanding our idea of failure allow us to be more kind and understanding to ourselves when we experience failure, but it also allows us to be more kind and open-minded to other people when they experience failure. Just like I was working to try and make safe and encouraging environments for my students to learn how to fail, we also have to work to make safe and encouraging environments for other people to learn how to fail. A key thing that my college career taught me when I was in pursuit of learning how to be a good teacher is that I learned that I must first be a good learner. How can I expect my students to be open-minded and want to learn something that I don't even want to do? How could I encourage my students to fail when I'm not even willing to fail? Through asking these questions with myself, I started to assess my own relationship with failure, understand and recognize that voice in my head that is judging myself and criticizing myself when I try something new or make a mistake or just flat out fail. I try and really pay close attention to the way that failure makes me feel and why it makes me feel that way. When I have these uncomfortable moments, oftentimes I want to deflect attention or distract myself or choose to just not think about it at all. But when I take the moment to look inward and allow myself to analyze and reflect on that uncomfortable feeling, I realize how much I don't want to feel that way again. And I start to theorize and brainstorm ways that I can prevent myself from feeling that way in the future. This also helps me put in perspective what I actually want to feel. What is that feeling of success actually like? Do I have anything in my brain that reminds me of that? And can I use that as this beautiful carrot on the stick for me? Like, oh, yes, feel this again, please. Ooh, this was lovely. Through working on my relationship with failure, I have really hoped that I will emanate and create an environment around me where I encourage other people to fail and also encourage myself to fail more. Of course, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I obviously still find myself judging me and other people with their failure. Sometimes I fail at changing my perspective on failure. It just happens. But when I do actually succeed, when I do find myself being kind and open-minded and encouraging to myself when I fail, when I do so for other people, I know and I feel how amazing that feels. And there's nothing like it. I hope this has made you think a little bit more on failure and encourages you to, I don't know, try something new, even if you're afraid of it. It has been so hard to not let failure determine my ability to do things or try new things, and it's hard to not let fear and failure control your lives. Something I always try and tell myself is that there is always something to be learned, no matter what the situation is, and that everything happens for a reason, even if it really fucking sucks. So, yeah, you're gonna fail. My name, once again, is Siggi, and this has been Siggi Squeaks. I hope you have enjoyed and have gained maybe a little bit different of a perspective on failure. If you made it this far into the video, please give a like. I'd greatly appreciate that. And if you have any thoughts, tell me what they are down in the comments below. So I'm gonna step off my soapbox now. Bye!